I look very red in this shot. It's not rosacea, but I do need a prescription for my terrible wagering because I don't know what's happening. It's week 10 and I still can't figure this stuff out. Jason McIntyre, Colin Cowherd, I'm Charissa Thompson. Raise your hand if you lost a lot on last night's game. Great, we're all in this together. Colin, you went 1 for 4 on your Blazing 5. J Mac, you were 2 for 4. Should we just wipe this out and start all over?
Yes.
Great, let's do it. Let's take a look at the early board for Fox Bet. Jace, Colin, when you look at this board, what stands out to you? We'll get into all the details and the nitty-gritty, but what just jumps out at first glance, Colin?
So if you took Tennessee's game away from Cincinnati, just take that game and it never happened. Wouldn't Tennessee be favored by more than 1.5 over a Colts offense that can't move the ball? So just take the Bengals-Tennessee game out. Everybody gets a stinker. Chiefs lost to the Raiders. I think Tennessee's a much more complete offense than Indianapolis. I think the Colts are so limited offensively. I think they're the worst athlete in the league. I like Tennessee as one of the only favorites all weekend. I like is Tennessee minus 1.5.
Okay, good. We'll get into more on that in a second. Jace, what stands out to you?
I noticed the Dolphins are favored. Okay, the last 2 weeks they were underdogs, great in that role, outright victories. Now they're favored over Justin Herbert. And listen, Colin has a man crush on Herbert. We know that. Everybody loves Justin Herbert. It's a dangerous spot for Miami. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay, now we aren't the only ones who weren't successful this past week. Out of the 1.3 million entries to win Terry Bradshaw's $1 million, nobody won. The good news, like a lottery, we still all have a chance. So download the Fox Super 6 app. You pick the outcome of 6 games by Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and you could win $1 million. Christmas is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. So play for free right there. All right, here we go. Tampa Bay, the aforementioned Bucs, who were terrible last night, 6.5-point favorite over Carolina with a points total of 48. Colin, who do you like and why?
I'd probably take the points here. Again, a 6.5 for a Carolina team that knows what they are. They don't make any mistakes. Teddy gets rid of the ball very quickly, so he won't be under constant siege. I think Matt Rule's done a great job. I mean, I think Tampa is going to bounce back. You know, my rule is when a really good team gets humiliated, take them the following week. But I think the number should be closer to 4.5, 5, 6.5. I'd probably take Carolina.
Especially the way they played against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Feisty. I got to say one thing off the top, Carissa. Just, nobody is as good or as bad as they were last week. I know that a lot of these teams laid eggs last week, but nobody's really that bad. Seattle's not that bad. Tampa's not 38-3 bad. This is a rematch from week 2. And ironically, Tampa was coming off a bad loss to the Saints. Remember in the opener? What happens in week 2? They jump out to a 21-0 lead and cover easily against Carolina. Bridgewater had 4 turnovers, was sacked 5 times. Tampa just kills them in the trenches. So my thought is, okay, I like what I saw in the first meeting. I should ride with Tampa. But then I remember what I just saw Sunday night. I'm like, how can I back this team when they got destroyed so badly? And it's like I need a moment here, Colin. I need to take some time to really think about this because Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy covers, right? He comes through as an underdog, and that's a tough one.
Yeah, well, you know who else needs a moment is Christian McCaffrey. He, of course, returned after being injured with that high ankle sprain yesterday, and hadn't played since week 2. He's now doubtful in this game with a shoulder injury, and he was big for them yesterday. Had 2 touchdowns, so we'll see how that progresses throughout the week. All right, moving on. We got Colts at Titans. This is our Thursday night matchup. Playing on a short week, Tennessee's favored by 1.5. Colin, you sort of intimated what your pick is here and what you like and what you don't like. So, Jace, let's get your perspective real quick, and then we'll button it with Colin again.
I mean, it's tough to disagree with Colin. Indianapolis has nobody vertically to stretch the field. I mean, Phillip Rivers was playing in like a phone booth. Like they could get gadgety and fun in the first quarter against the Ravens. Then John Harbaugh was like, oh, they can't do anything. We're just going to bum rush Rivers, and they could do nothing. They had 1 yard in the third quarter against the Ravens. Like, that's unacceptable. And Tennessee, I don't know, Colin, like they shut down the Bears. The worst third down defense in the league held the Bears to 2 for 15 on third down. Like, which are they? Are they the bad third down team or the team that shut down Nick Foles on third down? And a lot of injuries and COVID on the Titans. I heard a stat, Colin. They had 12 transactions on Sunday alone in Tennessee because of injuries and COVID. So I would have to wait a little bit. I do like Rivers, but
Rivers
it's tough,
only
it's tough
3 days of rest.
Yeah, and Darius Leonard got hurt again.
Yeah.
He left the game momentarily against the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson really ate him up in the middle of the field. So, again, I don't want to punt on every game here, but I'm going to wait and see, but I would lean with Colin here.
Okay, and the Titans couldn't cover against the Bears for whatever that's worth. All right, moving on. Bills and the Cardinals. This is my favorite game of the week right here. Arizona 2.5 and a points total of 53.5. Colin, who do you like and why?
The number is telling you to bet Arizona, and Buffalo's defense is really poor. So this is one of these, kind of obvious ones where if it's 3, you pass. If it's 3.5, you take Buffalo. At 2.5, it's hard not to take Arizona because they're just going to score. As bad as Seattle played, Seattle dropped, usually you get into the mid to high 30s, you win. So I just feel like Arizona games are shootouts. And that's not asking much. 2.5, Buffalo travels cross country. It's also beating Seattle like they did. That's the biggest win for Buffalo in a long time. It felt very big, little pullback, go cross country. Arizona gets to stay home. They were off a bye. They've been home now for about 15 straight days. I'd probably take Arizona here.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with a lot of that. The total is going to be one way, Carissa. This is going to go up from 53.5 because Arizona can't really stop anybody. They couldn't stop Tua. And we know Buffalo is a joke defensively. Russell Wilson kept them in the game despite the loss. The one nugget I have here, this is crazy. So this season has been abnormal, certainly. And home favorites have just not done well. There's no home field advantage. Short road underdogs of 3 points or less, which is what Buffalo is. They're 18-6 this year against the spread. So teams traveling getting less than 3 points for whatever reason, they're not daunted by this crowd noise and all that fun stuff. 18-6. So that would lean me toward Buffalo. I would say this, you don't always just want to bet trends blindly, but it factors into, your breakdown.
Yeah, and we know Buffalo's defense hasn't been good. I mean, Russell Wilson was not great yesterday, and they still put up 34 points in a losing contest. So the over in points on that one. Speaking of the Seahawks, we got Seahawks and the Rams is our next game. Rams -2 in this one with a point total of 55.5. We know, Colin, that the Rams give the Seahawks a tough time, 1-3 in their last 4 games. So who do you like here and why?
I like Seattle plus the points. Carlos Dunlap gets another week of practice. Jamal Adams, another week of practice. Chris Carson probably plays. I think when Seattle's got healthy running backs, they're a tough out. This is one of the easier Seattle picks of the year for me.
Here we go. Another
Dallas. Like he's come in, for them. Mm-hmm.
He's okay.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Another short road dog, right? And Seattle getting 2. The Rams, as Carissa said, have had Pete Carroll's number. They won 4 of 5, and in the loss, it was Greg the Leg missing on the Thursday night, like a long field goal that would have got them the victory. And now McVay's coming off a bye. Colin, that's Seattle's secondary. Can't cover anybody. They brought the kid Dunbar back off injury, right? And I think Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network was breaking down how badly Stephon Diggs abused Dunbar to the point that they benched Dunbar in the third quarter because Diggs was just roasting him. And now you got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, the rookie Van Jefferson, Josh Reynolds. This is a Rams attack that's explosive. I like the over here, 55. I know I'm giving totals because I don't feel good about any sides off a weekend where I got my teeth kicked in. But
you mentioned Quentin Dunbar. He's got a knee injury, and also Shaquille Griffin is banged up. So that secondary, to your point, who already they weren't great to begin with when they're not 100% healthy, could be a problem. Moving on, Bengals Steelers 8.5 points here with a total of 47.5. For whatever it's worth, we get it. The Steelers are 8-0. They didn't look great yesterday, but of 2 of those games, you guys, they've only beat their opponent by 10 points. So those games are not that close. So Colin, who do you like here?
I like the points. Cincinnati's offensive line is young. It looks a little better than it did a month ago. Pittsburgh plays down to its competition. Cincinnati's got a nice passing attack. Ben's a little banged up, perhaps. I think Pittsburgh comes in as a huge favorite. Cincinnati's on a bye. I'll take the points.
Yeah. I think that's probably the smart play. My one thing is this was 9.5 on the look ahead line, and now it's down to, I believe, 8.5, 8 some spots. So a lot of people like the Bengals. I will say this, Colin. Do you remember the one time Burrow struggled this season? It was against Baltimore. Okay. Against the other teams, he's able to keep them in the game, come through the back door. Baltimore totally shut him down. I think it was 27-3. He had like 2 or 3 turnovers, sacked 4 or 5 times. Pittsburgh's defense is right there with Baltimore. So there is some concern just taking the points, but I don't know what's up with Roethlisberger, man. He's a gamer, right? But he's just not really delivering. He's not throwing the ball down the field. They've got explosive guys. I'm not seeing those 50-yard bombs that I'm used to with Roethlisberger. It's all short stuff, and even the Bengals should be able to contain that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the strength of Pittsburgh is that defensive line. The weakness of the Bengals is their offensive line being able to protect Burrow. They will get 3 of their starting O-line back, though, for the Bengals, so that's big for them. Moving on, we mentioned the Ravens at the Patriots. This is -7, 7-point favorite for Baltimore with 41.5-point total. Colin?
This screams New England. Your over-under's 41.5. So they're telling you it's a 21. They're telling you it's a 14. What's the score on that? 17-13.
21-20.
Yeah, I mean, it's 21-20. That's way too many points. It's in New England. The weather could be crappy. The defense for New England's fine. This screams take the Patriots. That over-under is way too low to give up 7 points. And they're even adding my face to it. That means I really like it.
I've been waiting for the head.
That's only on the sure bets. Your face goes up there.
So my only concern with the Patriots, Bill Belichick, by the way, when was the last time he got a touchdown at home? That's insane. Baltimore's Harbaugh has coached well against Belichick in the past. We know he always has a good game plan. And I just want to see what the Patriots have tonight. If they don't put away the Jets here, and then they got to go home and face the Ravens, this number could tick up. So if you do like the Patriots, Colin.
By the way, the Patriots had Buffalo beat 2 weeks ago, and Buffalo crushed Seattle. So New England's a little better than we think.
Yeah, they almost won. If Cam Newton hadn't fumbled there in the last second. Moving to the terrible NFC East, Eagles, Giants, 3.5 for Philadelphia here with a point total of 44. Colin?
Love the Giants. I just think they're playing their ass off. Sorry for sharing.
Ooh.
I think they play so hard. I think they play hard away from the ball, on the play. I think their defense is pretty good. They're just not explosive enough on the perimeter offensively. Gettleman has to go out. They have to get faster. They've got, kind of pedestrian. Evan Ingram, I like the tight end, but they have to be more explosive. They will be when Saquon Barkley comes back. They have to go in the draft. If they don't take a quarterback, if they took that wide receiver from LSU, Chase, that's what they need. They need a real number 1 receiver, a Julio Jones level kind of player. But I like what they're doing. I like how they're playing. This sounds crazy, but you look at their schedule and that defense, Giants could start stacking up some W's here. I like New York.
Charissa, I'm the idiot who bet on Washington. The only time Danny Dimes doesn't have a turnover this season against Washington. And of course, Washington turned it over 5 times, but I'm past week 9. I'm over it. Quick note, Colin, home divisional underdogs this year, 11-2 against the spread. So if you like the Giants, that's a number in your favor. And the Giants had them beat like 3 weeks ago, did they not? I mean, on the Thursday night football game, they were winning that except for like a late collapse. I don't know why this line is 3.5, Colin. What are we missing here? Something seems fishy. Like, why are the Eagles getting so much respect?
I think it's the Travis Fulgham factor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a major factor on the outside. I don't think Bradbury or whatever could shut him down. I would look at the Giants here. I don't know why they're giving up 3.5. Charissa, any thoughts? We need help here.
Well, I'm just looking at the fact that, again, this goes back to how this season has went all year. We never know who we're going to get. It was just a couple weeks ago on our show, Colin, we were talking about Philadelphia, watch out. They have, everyone's healthy again. Everyone's coming back. They're going to win that division. And now all of a sudden we're like, what? New York. So every week it's something different. It is something different for Miles Sanders this week. He's going to return to practice. So that would be a nice addition for
Can I go back to one of my games?
Oh, here we go.
You can go back anywhere you want. We got all the time. This is digital.
No kidding. It is digital.
Are you flip-flopping already?
I can light up right now. No problem. I'm going to take Rams against Seattle.
Okay.
You know why? Because my theory on the Rams, I just forgot my theory. Because I think I'm 4 for 4 on the Rams this year. Okay. Whenever Jared Goff is comfortable, they win.
Ooh.
And outside of Carlos Dunlap, Seattle's got no pass rush. So I guarantee you they're going to bring Jamal Adams in the box and take big risks. Off a bye, Goff is comfortable, home divisional underdog.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Rams.
So the only note here, they did bum rush Josh Allen and sacked him 7 times. Now, Josh Allen under pressure was fine. He had 400 yards. But that's a good note because remember, if you don't get to Goff and he has time, he's going to kill you. The Dolphins got to him, and he was rattled big time.
By the way, so digital isn't governed by the FCC.
Yeah, let the F-bombs fly.
What the?
Boom! All right. Can I get my head up there one more time? Hold on.
There you go. You got your head in the game. You're allowed to call audibles on this thing all the time. Look, the game hasn't started. There is a game tonight, though, and I don't know if this is the worst Monday night game of all time, but we're still going to talk about it. Patriots at the Jets. Why not? Because there's, money to be had everywhere. 9.5 for New England and 42 points. Colin, look at these are Christmas colors. Happy holiday.
Actually, like New England, like the over. I think New England's going to I don't think they're going to give up on Cam yet. Listen, New England had Buffalo beat. Buffalo's a real – what is Buffalo, 7-2?
Yeah.
They're a real team. They had them beat. They've drafted the defensive side well. I think New England gets a defensive touchdown or two. And I don't know, 9.5 is rich, but I like New England. I like the over tonight.
Yeah. So it was 7.5, and then Darnold ruled out, and it's up to 9.5. Are you telling me there's only a 2-point difference between Darnold and Joe Flacco? I do kind of want to drop to my knees and start begging the Jets to lose this game. Colin, if the Jets somehow win this game and ruin the opportunity to get Trevor Lawrence, I might lose it. I honestly, I'm probably going to melt down because this is a franchise. I've rooted for them my entire life, and they've never had a franchise quarterback. I like Pennington.
Wait, Jason, why are you a Jets fan?
Yeah, I know.
I was born in New York, and I moved to Northern Virginia. Here's my bio. My dad got a job in the government, and everybody loved the Washington Football Club, Redskins at the time. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not following the crowd. I'm Jason McIntyre. I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to root for the Jets. And, of course, the Giants win the Super Bowl the next year. I'm like, I picked the wrong New York team. And the Jets have never been to a Super Bowl in my lifetime. And there you have it. I
always find that fascinating. You grow up in New York, and you could pick the Yankees, and you're like, no, I want to go with a perennial loser.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I live in Los Angeles, and you're like, you have two teams, Lakers, Clippers, and people are like, give me the one that never wins.
So
I love them.
My kids ask me, Dad, why are you a Jets fan? As I hand them a Sam Darnold jersey and an Altoon throwback T-shirt.
Yeah.
And they're like, why do you like them? Just because you were born there? And I was like, well, Carissa, I think, is a Seattle Seahawks fan because she's from Seattle.
I disowned the Mariners a long time ago because the Mariners sucked. So I abandoned it. I mean, it took them look, come on. You had Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Randy Johnson. And you couldn't do anything but win a wild card game. I'm out on you guys. Moving on.
I'm the same way. I bailed. I was a baseball guy in my 20s.
Yeah.
I bailed on the Mariners. My theory is I will not support a poorly run organization. I would never go to a restaurant if I had back-to-back terrible meals. I'm like, I'm out.
No, exactly. That's why we left the other network. Anyways, I digress.
Zinger.
I say it every week. For those of you that are new to wagering, I get if sometimes these numbers are overwhelming. You don't get it. The overs, the unders, all the other things. But what you could get is player prop bets. All you got to do is bet on a player one way or the other. So you mentioned it. Sam Darnold is out. Joe Flacco is in. So I am going to go with Joe Flacco under 210 passing yards. Why? Because in his 2 starts, he hasn't thrown over 200 yards in a game. That Patriots defense is good.
That's the best bet on the board this year.
That's what we're talking about.
Under 210 yards?
Hey, that's almost feels too good to be true. Yeah.
I will bet my COVID mask on that.
The other player prop bet I got is Cam Newton to score a rushing touchdown. Rushing touchdowns in 4 of 6 games for him this year, and he leads the Patriots in rushing touchdowns there. So those, bet on it. And again, you can get in on the action. I don't get my little face on these player prop bets, but maybe next week. All right,
Dad, that Conrad.
We do have one more question for you, as we do every week, a fan question. This is from Peter H. He says, Colin, how does the over-under set for a game impact how you bet on a game? And what info can you interpret? Wow, easy for me to read. Interpret from the total points that guides your decision.
Well, the New England game is classic.
Yes.
When the total's super low, I'm less willing to give up points. So I just can't give Baltimore 7 points in a game which should be 21-20 or, 23-14. And on against Belichick, who generally takes away your best thing to do. So I think Baltimore's better than New England, but that point total is so low. I just can't give up 7. I could give up maybe 4, 3.5, but that's just too many points to give up. So the lower the point total, I'm less willing to give up big numbers.
Perfect. I'm glad you were able to interpret what I said. Since
Yes.
I couldn't read the question from Peter H. We appreciate the questions every single week. We appreciate you, gentlemen. Jason McIntyre, Colin Cowherd. I'm Charissa Thompson. We will see you next week on Talk the Line.